They say that even a second is an eternity in Formula One, so going 4 winter months with no racing at all has seemed a very long time indeed. We're back though in Melbourne, home of the Australian Grand Prix since 1996. We go racing today then in the state of Victoria, where the drivers have 16 corners and 3.3 miles to navigate at an average lap speed of around 120 miles an hour. The close proximity of the barriers makes accidents inevitable, and recent history shows us that a safety car is not at all out of the question. I'm joined today in the commentary box, as I will be throughout this season, by a great racing driver, a former F1 competitor, man who was world champion once upon a time as well, and an all-round top chap. It's the one and only Anthony Davidson. And tell me, here we are, first Grand Prix of the season, the first time racing these cars. So what are the big questions that need to be answered here, in your view?
First of all, Crofty, and thanks for the glowing introduction, I just want to say it's a real privilege to be here, and I can't wait to see what this competitive field has in store for us this season. Now, to answer your question, obviously there's the question of performance in race trim, but really this is going to be all about reliability. It's the first Grand Prix of the season, don't forget. You're pushing all your new components to their limits. Formula One cars are full of very sophisticated but also very sensitive technology. So the most important thing today is to get to the end of the race, keep everything in good condition, and try to stay out of trouble while you're at it.
Excellent job yesterday. We qualified above expectations. Let's go out there and put in a performance.
So before the off, let's remind ourselves of yesterday's qualifying session with a look at the starting grid. Lewis Hamilton lines up on pole position, with Nico Rosberg alongside. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Vettel, Raikkonen, Daniel Ricciardo and Verstappen, Massa, Bottas, a McLaren and Nico Hülkenberg, Kvyat, Grosjean, Sergio Perez and Button, Sainz, Gutierrez, Kevin Magnussen and Jolyon Palmer, Nasser and Ericsson, Pascal Wehrlein and Rio Haryanto completes the grid. And with lights out just moments away, it's time to go down to the track.
I did actually wonder what they were going to say when they cut to my character and they just said, "Hey, McLaren." Oh, so that's lovely. Anyway, I'm Lovespuds. Welcome to the first race of F1 2016. You may have seen the introduction part that I put up not so long before this. That was just to get you aware of what's going on in this series. So we've got the new edition, which is the formation lap. I haven't seen this since I think Studio Liverpool had the license for the last F1 game they did. Correct me if I'm wrong, that could be completely wrong, but I do remember there being a formation lap in a different game. Anyway, it's the first time Codemasters have done it. We're just going to have a look at the qualifying lap in a moment. I'll just switch this over, there we go. So this is Q3, we made it through pretty easily actually, so I may have to have a look at the difficulty level here. But it's not too bad. A bit of correction there. Got onto the grass a little bit, or the artificial grass. It's actually quite difficult. If you go off the track, you are going to have a tough time. A lot tougher than you have done in any other previous Codemasters F1 game, which is good to see. So you've also got the delta as well on top right. That is a pretty handy thing to have, so you can abort your lap if you fuck it up, basically. I'm currently slightly down on the previous lap, but I did mess up the lap beforehand coming into this next set of corners. As you can see, I'm a 10th up again now. Should be a bit more up when we get around the next couple of corners. So yeah, I'm very impressed with this game so far. And I can actually use the wheel as well, which I'm quite happy about. I would like to be faster. I would like to get back up to Legend at least. I'm not sure Ultimate's going to be quite within reach yet, but I'm not actually sure what the speed difference is between the AI and like how many seconds a lap or whatever, but Hamilton's currently got a pole at a 127, so maybe Ultimate is more true to lifetimes. But just coming around the final corner here, get the DRS open. we're going to come across the line for a 129.322, which isn't bad. But so we're just going to cut back to the start, the end of the formation lap. And this is great. I mean, although the AI does take over from you at the end of the formation lap and gets you set up on the grid, you know, this pause waiting for the others to line up does get your blood pumping. It's just like sort of this mini adrenaline rush, because you're just waiting, and I didn't know what was going to happen. I thought it was just going to start. I didn't realise it was just going to line them all up and then go to a black screen and then come back, which is unfortunate, but I was really waiting for it to happen. But anyway, here we are. You have to hold the clutch in, maintain the optimal, and let it go when the lights go out, and off we go. And I mess up the start a little bit. Bit of wheel spin, lost a couple of places there, or one or two maybe. Going around the first corner, it's pretty close but clean. Someone did get hit behind me. That was actually nothing to do with me, I'll have you know. So this is a good start. Going to dive up the inside, muscle my way through, back up behind Massa and back to where we qualified. Unfortunately, Bottas did tag me there, but I squeezed him in too much, so it was a bit of, you know, closing the door on my part. I didn't really give him anywhere to go. It was a similar incident to Maldonado and Hamilton back in Valencia in 2012. Well, they basically shut the door. Hamilton shut the door on Maldonado, but still, none of us really came off that badly there. Bottas, I think it does come back, but it does ruin his race pretty substantially, unfortunately. So anyway, you got the new heads-up display, the multi-function dashboard, I think it's called, something along those lines. You can see down there my throttle inputs as well. The green bar is filling up on the right, and then you've got the brake input on the left. You can see how much I'm braking, so that's pretty handy to see on videos where you can watch other people, see what sort of throttle inputs and brake inputs they're doing to get around the corner. So Rosberg is currently in lead. He's taken it off the front row, got ahead of Hamilton. You can see bits of debris lying there as well. Unfortunately, you can't hit the debris. It just goes straight through your car at the moment. I don't know if they're going to change that or what, but that's just currently how it is. You'll have to excuse the frame rate dips in places as well. Unfortunately, I was using OBS. Didn't actually quite realise that my settings are not quite optimal for like a fast racing game. So I'll be changing back to shadow play in the next video. So you should see a quality increase with the frame rate at the very least. The bit rate is not a lot I can do about. I need to lower that just enough. They see there's a dip there. That wasn't actually in the game, it was just the recording software, and I get a bit squirrely out of that corner. But we still pick it up. We're on purple at the moment. We're not doing too bad. We're settling into a rhythm. We did the track acclimatization and all the tests in practice, so it does familiarise you with the circuit. Just coming up the inside there, gave him a little tap, which wasn't ideal. Did put him off slightly. So it was a bit of a muscle my way through sort of manoeuvre. But we do go up to 7th, which is nice in the points in the first race. And it's always good for this to start off in Australia as well, because as I've said before in the last series, Australia's a track I know well. So DRS is now available, of course. And we're just going to now settle in here, see what we can do. But yeah, as I say, I'm really impressed with this game. The handling is almost on par with 2015, but it's improved slightly. I haven't driven in the wet yet, but I have heard it's like an ice skating rink, so that's something to look forward to, I guess. Especially if I struggled in 2013, and I'm still struggling out the corners now. The car is quite a handful, definitely compared to previous games. But it's all part of the learning process. It's good to see that they're actually going down the more detailed route. They're sort of leaning towards simulation, but not going full on simulation, because if you go on full simulation you might as well just hire a great big simulator, or actually get enough money to rent out one of these cars for a day or something ridiculous, because you're never going to be full simulation no matter how many simulation games you make or buy. iRacing's probably one of the closest ones. Project Car's pretty close as well. It's only, comparing it to Project Cars in simulation standards, it's probably a step back from that, but a step towards simulation from the last previous games, which is good. It will please some of the fans, but obviously you've always got the ones that want full control over your pit stops and your formation laps, I mean. But that doesn't really bother me that much. I don't mind arcadey bits slightly, well, here and there. If you don't want to do it too arcadey, then it's just going to be a bit silly. Yeah, again, sorry for the frame rate drops there. I will get rid of them by the next race, don't you worry. So you can see down in the dashboard there, the fuel remaining is actually in decimal point now. You can actually see properly how many laps of fuel you've got left, so you can actually judge it a bit better now. And I'm not so worried about sticking it up to a rich mix as well. I wait till I get to about 1 lap worth of fuel and towards the end before I turn it up, but it's good to see that they're actually doing that more detail rather than saying 1 lap or 0 laps and then you suddenly run out of fuel. But you've got a bit of a fight going on ahead between Verstappen and Ricciardo. I see they've just stuck Verstappen in straight away ever since what's his face, Kvyat got very publicly humiliated and demoted this season, so they've just stuck Verstappen in because obviously in these games with licensing restrictions and all that sort of jazz going on, they can't really move the drivers around, which is unfortunate. It's only yourself that can move around, which is a shame. And I'll mess up there, lock up a bit and go onto the grass, but if you do go onto the grass, as I said before, you will have a hard time getting off it, and because you'll be slippery as well, getting rid of the debris, the grass, the gravel, whatever's on your tyres, and it's a huge problem going off the track now, which is exciting. You got your tyre wear as well. Tyre wear, in my opinion, slightly improved. Definitely improved over 2013 when I last recorded videos. Probably reflecting real life as well, because they are a bit more durable. Here comes Massa around the outside. I'm going to give him the room, but cover the inside. Kept him behind. I have to say I have worked on my racecraft. It's slightly better, and at these lower difficulties I can probably, you know, not mess it up. But as I say, we'll see in the next race if we can go up to Legend, because I did, you know, although I was missing my targets for practice initially, this is good as well. Judging the braking right to the line. Oh, the frame rate. Oh, it hurts. Oh, that hurts. This is terrible. I am so sorry. I really am sorry. I'll tell you, this will not happen again. The trouble is, when you're playing, you don't actually notice it's happening on the recording. As I say, I was initially behind on my practice pace, but then I found a rhythm, and then ended up beating those scores by quite a margin, like a good few tenths, or even a second and a half in some places. So it might be a call to turn up the difficulty, especially when Button is actually quite far behind as well. I don't know if he got mixed up in the first corner tussles, but you know, obviously your first rival is going to be your teammate, so you need to sort of be on par with him and not be, well, so far ahead that it's too easy to win the rivalry. You want to be sort of where the car should be, technically, to get the full sort of simulation from the, you know, the season how the cars are actually behaving in real life. But as soon as you start the first race and start the development path, all that goes out the window, and then it just becomes how quickly you can develop the car. You know, even though you do put your resource points towards engine upgrades and the such, they don't have that luxury in real life. It's not that easy. But obviously, being a game, they have to make it, you know, so that you can progress quite easily. And again, the frame rate is shocking coming around these past few corners. It tells you when Jensen's in the pits, which is quite nice. It's good to know that it flashes up and lets you know that happens, but I think that's been in previous games anyway. So Kvyat and Massa just got them coming out the pits. I think we just beat someone around the corner. Didn't even see that. So this is a good move coming up here. Massa's going around the outside, Kvyat's in the middle in a sandwich, and I just go up the inside, no contact, pull off a move, 3 abreast around the corner. Probably one of the best moves I've done in the game, or in a lot of the games actually. I haven't had that opportunity to have 3 going around the corner at once. It just goes to show that the AI have been improved quite substantially in the past couple of years. They were pretty good in 2015 as well. I had a really good race in Canada. It was a 3-way tussle between myself, which I was playing as Raikkonen, Vettel and Hamilton. Unfortunately, there was contact because of the AI. They were probably a bit too aggressive in some cases, so Vettel knocked himself out first at the first corner, and then Hamilton went into Vettel, ruined his race, and then Hamilton went into the back of me, destroyed his front wing, spun around, and also took off my front wing as well because I bashed right into the wall, but luckily it was on the straight just before the pits. But that still meant that the Williams, that the 2 Williams that were behind us the whole race, came through and took the win. That Massa come up the inside again, sort of tried to do a switch back, but it didn't quite work, because especially as I went on the grass as well. But I've also got Kvyat coming up the inside there. Probably shut the door on him a bit too aggressively though, even though I put my hand up. But Massa made a good move on us in the first corner and is looking to move away slightly. So we're roughly halfway through this race just now. And not looking too shabby. We've got a little train behind us, but I think we can, you know, work on being a bit smoother around the corners. Seems that Jensen has had a bit of a moment somewhere along the line, has lost a bit of his front wing. I'm fighting for my first points of my career. 8th I think is a very good start point. Let's hope I can hang on to it. I'm just trying to look after the tyres, because at this point I don't actually know if changing the mixture up to rich is going to affect it like it did in previous games, or if it's just going to be based on how smooth they come out the corners. I think the news is good. It's based on how smooth you come out the corners. Bit of a lock up there on the front right, which is going to allow those other guys to close up the gap. I'm going to cover the inside. It's Kvyat trying to come around the outside, but it's not going to happen. And also another car in the mix. There's 3 cars behind me there, both trying to, all 3 trying to get past me somehow. Luckily my objective is 11th, so it wouldn't matter too much, I don't think, if they got past me, but obviously, you know, racer, you want to be up front. So I'm going to fight as much as I can, but these couple of laps are going to be a bit messy until I get back into my rhythm. I'm just cycling through my options there. I'm not quite sure what I'm looking for, but it did put me off slightly, I think, but inadvertently covered the inside line. So just coming round last few corners of the lap. About to start lap number 10 and we're in a good position. Just going to come round the corner and go straight, bomb it down the line. I'm actually moving over to get out, to get them out of my slipstream, because that does have an effect, especially when they've got DRS as well. I think it's rather helpful to break the slipstream, but Kvyat trying to go in the inside, but I'm going to hold my line around the outside and hold on to it, more importantly, not mess it up. And after a scrappy start to the last couple of laps, it's all coming together. It's kind of a bit smoother, going around the outside, putting down the power, and just as I say that, I sort of go a bit wide and go on the grass. But the majority of these corners are pretty smooth. And that's the key. This game teaches you to be smooth around the corners. It just does. You know, more so than any other game in the previous Codemasters games. Still, this will keep my my bosses happy, this performance. As long as I don't fuck it up towards the end, we'll be absolutely fine. Again, just moving slightly out of the slipstream, but I don't think they were very close at all. I think they're going for the second DRS zone, a lot of them. I think the exit out of the final corner is enough. But that corner, they went nowhere near Kvyat, too far back again to make a pass. And the idea now is to look after my tyres. Basically, that's what I'm trying to do, which is what the tyre management test helps you to figure out. You know, what speed to go around the corners at, and not scrub the tyres, because the sideways travel in this game actually really exists and you can really feel it. I mean, it's strange to say you can feel it if you're not in the car, but you know, if you've got like a force feedback wheel, then that's kind of, you know, the next best thing. You can sort of feel the steering going light or heavy, and it's kind of difficult to describe really, unless you actually do it for yourself. On the controller you can't feel a damn thing unless you go over the rumble strips, but for some reason in previous games, I don't know what it is, but I could always, it's almost like feeling where the car is even though you've got no environmental feedback. I mean, it's kind of weird on the controller. With the wheel it makes more sense, but I don't know how I did it before. But as I said, the controller, it's a lot harder. Before, I think the wheel users, myself included, did kind of moan that the previous games were, you know, easier to do on a controller. You could do blistering times, and myself was 2 seconds faster with using a controller over a wheel. So, you know, which wasn't ideal for me considering I got a wheel, which is a relatively high spec wheel compared to my previous one, which ended up breaking anyway. Just because it was a cheap wheel. I mean, it was only £30. It was a reduced one, but still. Right. So Master's basically getting away. It's about 3.5 seconds up the road. I don't think I'm going to be able to catch him, especially not in a Mercedes-powered engine. Obviously, the Honda one is down on power compared to the rest of the field. And I don't know how long it's actually going to take them in real life to catch up, but I hope they do sooner rather than later, because they've got a long way to go to catch up Mercedes.
Okay, gap to leader, 30.
So leader is 30 seconds up the road. Jensen is 24 behind. You know, which is why I'm thinking, should I be on Legend rather than Expert? But I will have a look at that in the next race at Bahrain, because it's kind of skewed, because Australia is probably the track I've done the most laps on, and after these final couple of laps are completed, it will take the total amount of laps around this track to at least, well, it'll be like 40 something laps, nearly 50. Oh, completely fucked it there. As you can see, when you come off the grass, you need to do a lot of corrective steering. Luckily, I'd made up enough of a gap, and that those three behind are fighting and slowing themselves up, which made it a bit easier for me, but they're still 1.3 seconds down the road. As long as I keep that gap over a second, they won't get the DRS again, which will be fine. But yes, as I was saying, it'd be 50 or nearly 50 laps once this race is over, plus the ones I've done in test recordings as well. So I must have done at least a full race distance just learning this track and learning this game on this track that I know pretty well. Some amongst you may say that you should be faster than an Expert by now, but we'll see going into the next race. I'd rather it be fun for me and get quite a few overtakes and be fighting with the pack, rather than be like winning the race outright or being at the back of the field. I'm just kind of wondering if I am maybe in between Expert and Legend, which is what I didn't want to happen, that was in between difficulty levels. But you know, that's the beauty of some other games when they do like a percentage difficulty up 0 to 100%, like Project Cars does, which I think is brilliant, because then you can sort of work out where you are and then set the percentage accordingly. This one is only like 7 difficulties, is it? I really should go back and have a look at that. It's either 7 or 9 difficulty levels. You know, that doesn't cover a lot, and there's obviously going to be quite a gap between difficulty levels in terms of AI speed, and sorry yet again for the frame rate, this is annoying, but luckily I found it now and didn't record a crap ton of races. I'm just going to record Bahrain after I've done a commentary for this, so yeah, it will be better. As I say, I'll be moving to shadow play. I'll use OBS for other games, I think, but for racing games, shadow play is probably the way to go, as they're going to be mostly post-commentary. I stopped using shadow play for a while because I was recording another game recently to do some like test recordings to get back into the swing of things, but unfortunately shadow play did end up getting out of sync with my audio, which is the only problem. But for post commentary it's fine, but live commentary, as I say, it got out of sync. I did freak out when he said the tank was empty, but then I looked at how much fuel was left, so plus a tenth of a lap basically, so that's actually fine. So just coming around the final corners now. Can't believe it's been 15 laps already. I mean, when you sort of commentate, you sort of like don't have enough time, strangely enough. You start talking about something and then immediately it's like lap 5 or something. But we're coming through to win the race. Not win the race, what am I on? to win 8th place. It's coming through, 8th place, I'll take that.
So, another fantastic victory for the Silver Arrows. And I have to wonder, Anthony Davidson, just what set them apart from the competition here.
The difference was clearly in the strategy. You could tell they'd done a lot of work on the pit wall to really optimise each stint and get the most out of the tyres. And it highlights just how much of a team sport this really is. But credit to the driver as well, though. There's no good having a well-oiled machine behind the scenes without a talented hand on the wheel, of course.
Well, this is it. This is where they all want to be. Here come the top three then, out onto the podium after a fascinating Grand Prix. And after this round of the World Championship, here's how things look in the Drivers' Table. Lewis Hamilton takes over the lead of the Drivers' Championship after an excellent result. Now then, Anthony Davidson, who was your driver of the day?
I'm giving driver of the day to Rio Haryanto. He's pushed and he's found some fantastic performance. He was an absolute pleasure to watch today.
And here's how things are shaping up in the Constructors' Championship. Mercedes move to the top of the table. There'll be plenty more twists and turns to come this season. I hope you can join us at the next race to see just who will come out on top.
Yeah, so basically I've just muted the volume a little bit because I didn't realise they repeat the commentary after you go back and look at the replays. So, oh well. Rio Haryanto, twice over. But anyway, that's the driver standards standings at the moment. We are currently in 8th, obviously, because we finished in 8th. And McLaren are now in 5th, just ahead of Haas and behind Williams. So it's shaping up to be a good season, and I'll see you... No, I won't. Actually, I forgot about this bit at the end. So you get resource points as well for completing the race. All helps. A bit of bonus. Penalty free. This is good. Clean race as well. And you know, you have sort of a tick list of things that you've done against your teammate rivalry. So we pretty much got everything apart from the podium finish, and we tick up into the purple because we are exceeding expectations, which is excellent. It's a really good first race. So you got the career score as well. And obviously, the more difficult you make it for yourself, the more points you get. As I say, 48 laps total over the whole sessions. Obviously, I've got everything there apart from no flashbacks triggered, because I triggered quite a few flashbacks in my practice because I lost a few wheels. Went into the wall a couple of times. But there you go. That's it. We'll just go back to our laptop, and I'll see you in round 2 in Bahrain. See you later, guys.